Hi, welcome to Healthcare in Context. My name is Charlotte Seyfried. I am a breast cancer survivor, a caregiver, and a patient advocate, and I'm the founder and creator of CharlottePXP.com. And this is my partner.
Hey, I'm Caitlin Holcomb, founder of Wellness Communities. I'm a certified community health worker through Baylor Scott & White, and shortly after earning my MBA, I quit my job to start focusing full-time on helping people to dwell in wellness. And welcome to our series, Healthcare in Context. We call it this because contextual care matters. In fact, evidence shows that paying attention to contextual care factors improves the likelihood of positive medical outcomes by 70%.
We want to remind everyone that we are not doctors. Anything we say here is not to be construed as medical advice. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Healthcare in Context. Thank you so much for meeting with us, Karol. We can't wait to talk to you today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, kind of like how we've followed the similar structure before, we'll start first focusing on background context, then move into any particular pain points that you experienced along the way as we discuss this latter half of your care journey. Then we'll talk about things that helped and that made it easier for you and what you wish you would have known to kind of share that wisdom for anyone listening and facing this part of their journey now.
Okay.
So starting out thinking about from the time where you were connected with your doctor, your broader care team, who all was on your care team? How were you connected with them? And how did they point you and decide which treatments for you to go under?
So when I was first diagnosed, my PCP doctor, because I had no clue to what to do, when she was saying, I think you do need to see the doctor. And I said, okay. And so immediately, I called and made sure that my insurance took her. And during that time, when she said yes, when the doctor said yes, you, I'm pretty sure you do have breast cancer. And this is what we're going to do. Here's our treatment. And again, the insurance that I had wasn't for sure if it was going to cover all of it. So I, sent an email to the parents just to let them know that I had breast cancer. And this is what I was going to be doing, start taking chemo. And one of my parents immediately said, we need to do a GoFundMe. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And she was like, trust me, it's a lot of things that you're going to need. And this is something we want to do. And immediately they did. And they started, and I think they raised over $11,000. And I took that money, and the financial aid person called and said, this is what you need to do. And I say, here's all the money. I want, to cover everything. So my chemo doctor just told me, these are the steps that you're going to start, let's start the chemo. So I went every 3 weeks on a Thursday and stayed home on Friday. And on Friday, I would have to go back to get this second drug. And I can't remember the name that they put in my leg. And then after that, then I went home. On Monday, I was back at work. So I was tired on Friday and Saturday, but I was well enough to go to work, so I only missed every 3 weeks, Friday.
And I just wanted to chime in and clarify that Karol is an early childhood educator, right? You work with
Yes.
our little ones, and I think it's amazing that you were able to continue treatment and work with little kids all day. I cannot imagine the amount of energy that must have taken. And I got that injection too. It's, I believe it's for, bones, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, and I'll add on to that because Carol's going to be too humble to say anything, but she actually runs the daycare that we sent my daughter to. In my opinion, obviously, yes, I'm biased, but is one of the best daycares around our metroplex, and just kept her entire team and all of the teachers, like, somehow didn't miss a beat. I still to this day am in awe of that.
You're an amazing woman.
Yeah.
I barely made it through just taking care of one child, and you were taking care of all the children and an entire team of people. I'm amazed.
One of my thing was I heard, my doctor told me, she said, I got you. And when I was doing chemo, the nurses would say, sometimes people come in because they're angry, and they were like, I get that, because it's not fair. But I never had an attitude. I probably cried the first time when the doctor said I had breast cancer. So I always went in with God got me, and I'm gonna keep going. And so I never felt like what if, when I even told my son, the first thing he did was he prayed, and he's like, Mom, I got you, and so I just kept that mindset. And I had all of my staff and all of my parents I was surrounded with love, so with my family as well. So I was like, and I've heard some people will go through it and then have to go through it again. And I'm just very blessed that when she told me that you're going to be okay with this, and I believe that. And so I'm okay.
I'm so thankful you had so much support and so much love surrounding you. I think that's so important and such an important point to how it enables you to have a positive mindset. And I'm so glad that that positive mindset took you through it so flawlessly. But it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you didn't have to be strong. And it doesn't mean that you're not still amazing, because you
Yeah.
are.
My biggest thing was when they said chemo, and I love I used to love my hair because I felt like my hair was me, and my hair was long like Caitlin. And when my hair started coming out after the second treatment, I did cry a little bit. And now I'm like, girl, I'm not going back to long hair no more. All I have to do is just this and keep going. So I don't even know if I go back to long hair anymore.
It is so much easier. And I was the same. I never would have thought. I've never had short hair in my whole life. So
Me
it was the
neither.
same. Yeah. So I understand. And as far as
Yes.
that positive mindset, I absolutely agree. It's certainly what got me through it as
Mhm.
well.
Yes.
I think my husband and I cried for like maybe a week straight at night when the kids were asleep. And then one day
Mhm.
I was like, we're done. We can't keep doing this. We have to
Mhm.
trust that everything's going to be okay.
Mhm.
And we have to live our lives, right? While we have it.
Exactly.
And we
You
have to
have
be
to.
thankful that these
Yep.
treatments exist, but
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard. And I understand it.
It really is. I know that when I was doing treatment, I probably the fourth treatment, I saw a sign, please do not use the phone while you're doing treatment. And I was on the phone every 3 weeks talking to Miss Tammy on the phone, laughing, and they were like, you are not supposed to be on the phone, but they let me be on the phone. But I was, I brought my snacks, and I was on the phone for the time that I was there with Tammy, which was my best friend, and got through it.
I love that. And both Carol and Tammy just absolute lights. I know that we have, before we move on from that, I know that we've talked a little bit about creating space. If you're not going through it, creating space for people who are, so that they're not forced to have an optimistic perspective. How do y'all have any advice on how to still allow for and create that space? And when you kind of felt like, I mean, Charlotte, you mentioned crying for a week, and then you mentioned that choosing that shift in that mental attitude. What shifted it for y'all? When did y'all feel ready for kind of that positive shift, I guess, or hopeful shift rather?
For me, like when the day that I found out that I had breast cancer, I was on the way to DBU. My son was graduating college, and I was getting ready to walk out the door, and my doctor called and said, "This is what you have." And I just I said, I got to be strong for him for his graduation. Um, and I had to wait and sit through graduation to tell him that I had breast cancer. And I didn't know how to explain it to him, but when he sat there, because he was going to school for seminary, um, he immediately put his arms around me and we prayed. Um, so it was hard, at first to hear that's a scary word, is cancer, any type of cancer, and so I cried then, and I cried when my doctor told me, and I said, I know Imma be okay, and I have to be okay, losing one child and going through breast cancer, I needed to be here for my son as well as for myself, but I needed to be here for him too.
And I would say for me, it was kind of the same, really. I knew
Yeah.
that I had my kids, and I knew we had to do our best. We had just lost both our parents to cancer, so it was very scary. But I just said, here the truth of it is this: I'm either going to live or I'm not, and regardless, I'm going to live as long as I'm going to live, and I don't want to live the rest of my life like this, crying and sad. I want to live and hug my babies and be happy and try to have a good attitude because it's never going to hurt me. And I'm just lucky that I had the support that I was able to do that. And I would say for anyone going through it, my only advice would just be, if you can get to that place, if it feels right to you, then it is a process and it depends on your support network and it depends on you when you're ready. But don't do what you need to do, grieve how you need to grieve, and then keep in mind that, no matter how long you have on this planet, that's your time. And try to keep in mind that when you're ready, try to be present and hopefully uh, appreciate what time you do have. It is hard though, and
It
I don't
is.
mean to lighten it, and I do think it's wonderful to have a positive mindset. It got me through it. I know not everybody can do that either. So I think whatever feels right to you is how you do it, That's how you get through it. If you want to fight by being angry, then you do it. If you need to cry, you do it. You do what you need to do to get through it. But either way, just keep in mind that you're not alone and, you've got a community. You just have to seek them out. We're here, right, Carol?
That's right.
And we'll do our best to support you. So,
Thank
I'm a quilter and which is what I love to do. I go on quilting retreats 4 times a year. And last year going through breast cancer, I was like, what can I do for the people at the hospital that's doing their treatment, you know? So last year I made goodie bags for probably 20 at one time and sent it. I took it up there to the hospital and said, you know, whoever come in, you know, this time, I was like, I want to do something different. So I'm making pillowcases, and I found the breast cancer material, and I'm making just the standard breast cancer pillowcases, and I'm gonna take it up there for October for Breast Cancer Month.
That's so amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'm right there with you on that. For me personally, instead of worrying, my way is
Mhm.
to help.
Yes.
So when I start to worry about things, I think, how can I get active and how can I help? And
Mhm.
that helps me cope with worrying. It helps me deal with that emotion. Um, and I'm so glad you brought that up because that's probably one of the best ways that I made it through and kept a positive mindset because
Uh-huh.
I just devoted myself to others and helping other people when I could. And I love that you're making pillows now. Whenever I go into any cancer space and I see that people are doing things and donating, it always makes me want to give those people a hug.
Yes.
It always makes me happy.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And she's very skilled at it, I will say.
It's amazing. I
Thank
would
you
love to
for
see your quilt sometime. I've always
Okay.
wanted to learn. I think it's the most amazing skill, and I would really love to learn more.
You know, I didn't even know how to quilt. When I started, it was right after my son had passed, and I went to Joann and I bought this little sewing machine, and the lady said, "Okay, well, you know, start putting the thread in," because I went to the quilting class, and she said, "Well, put the thread in and let's get ready." And I said, "Well, how you do that?" She said, "Well, honey, do you know how to sew?" And I said, "No." She said, "Well, you first gotta take a sewing class." And so I started that way, you know, and now, I mean, I bought a sewing machine that was $200. Now I've increased it to a $2,000. So I love my sewing, but I had no clue of how to sew or quilt until I started going to a class. But that's something, you know, you almost have to do, like, when your kids are grown, you know, because mine was graduate, you know, he was in high school, so I could go to classes and stuff. So if you have little kids, just wait.
So I love that though. Again, it was a coping mechanism, and I think that's what I learned through when I was caregiving for my mom too. Is
Mhm.
that for me, grief? That's my best way of, or any negative emotion, I guess, is my best way of coping is to do, and
Mhm.
help. And I love that you make things for other people too.
Yes. So I'll start
So
this evening and try to I wanna get at least 20 of them done so I can take them up there.
it's amazing. I love it.
I hope to see pictures when you're there. Thanks for veering a little and sharing a little bit more emotional vulnerability about that piece of it for you. Thinking on the communications with your care team, going into the appointments, scheduling the appointments, all of that. So, same question focusing on the pain points, but I'll phrase it a little differently. If you had a magic wand and you could wave that wand to change any particular part or parts to make it easier for people going forward, what how would you wave that wand? Like what pain points existed that you would want to fix?
S I'm trying to really think of something that Charlotte, maybe you could start it.
I was
Well,
just listening to you.
so
It's
I can
about you, all about you. I just was chiming
probably
in, but
I can also Carol, if you're open to it,
Mhm.
something that might be of interest to people. you talked about meeting with someone about financial aid and what that process was like.
Um,
Unfortunately, not everyone's going to necessarily have GoFundMe or full support in
no.
their community. So what
So, when you think about like the financial aid, actually one of my teachers is her daughter is going through breast cancer. And for me, for her, she had to switch doctors because they didn't take her insurance for chemo and stuff. Um, and I think with mine, I just think that it should be a little bit easier, to go through if you have breast cancer or any type of cancer. I've heard people say, I can't believe, when you got cancer, sometimes people just end up dying because they don't have the insurance. And why don't they have the insurance? Why don't, you pay some may have Medicaid and it covers and, a certain part, but if they don't have the money to pay for the medicine, what does that do for them?
Yes.
Um, how does it cover? Again, I was blessed that I had the parents, but what if I didn't?
Yeah.
How would that would affect me? Would I be here today?
Mhm.
But it's all about to me, it's about insurance and you know, it's like some people don't have it and may have to go to the county hospital
Mhm.
and will they get that treatment like I got? I was very fortunate, but I could have been that one that went there to the county hospital, may not have gotten all the treatment that I needed. So I think it should be better, people should be able to, if they need the treatment, get the treatment.
Carol, I agree with you completely. I think uh, every step of the process, I remember thinking, if I didn't have previous experience
Mhm,
dealing with the system, if I didn't have the support of a husband, if I were working full time and I couldn't afford to take a day off, I
mhm,
don't know how I would have done it. And I
yeah,
think you're so right when it comes to, I feel like everyone should have access to good treatments that could save their lives.
mhm,
And I do wish that we were in a system that you didn't have to switch or get delayed or possibly not
mhm,
get treatments because you don't have the right amount of money.
exactly.
it's also really I'm also really grateful that Carol, you were in a position that you took every Friday off and there was the space to take every Friday off.
Mhm,
And, not that you felt 100% by Monday,
right.
but what
But
did being able to give your body that space after chemo, what did that kind of look like for you?
I was able to I when I first found out, when I started the chemo, I didn't wanna just lay in the bed. you know, um, because then that's not good either. So I went to Nebraska and found this recliner that I could sit in, that me and my two poodles could be in that chair, and I would stay in there in my chair from Thursday till Sunday. I was able to recline and rest and sometimes I wasn't feeling my best on Monday, but I still would push myself and go, because I didn't want to just sit in the house and just worry. Because sometimes if you just there, sometimes by yourself, you worry like, is it going to come back? Even though the doctor told me I wasn't gonna have a problem with my right breast. It's still in your mind. it could come back, because they're just doctors. They don't know everything. So I pray that everything will, be okay with me.
Recliners are so underrated. I had no idea. We didn't have any recliners. When I got breast cancer, I remember I got one of those like modular pillows for my bed.
Mhm.
And it is not, and as soon as of course I'm well now, and now we have a recliner, and I'm like, what? But in all the breast cancer groups, everyone was like, get a recliner, get a recliner. And I
Yeah.
thought, like, I don't need a recliner. I'm young and I can get up. But really, you have times where you need the assistance of
Yeah.
that recliner
Mhm.
just to get you out of your seat
Mhm.
because you're so weak.
Yes.
And I think it's such an important thing that I never realized that we needed. I'm glad you had one, Carol, and you're
Yes.
so right. It really is in its own way. I almost feel like that is an assistive device that
Mhm.
should be prescribed if there was any way that people could get it.
Yeah.
Because really, especially if you're having serious surgery, I mean, you really do need that help to get up.
You do. You
Hmm.
do.
That makes a lot of
And didn't you say that you had a vibroplate as well?
Mhm.
Yes. Tell us
Uh-huh.
more about that.
So my sister was like, you need to get one. It helps with the lymphatic and, because she's very health conscious. And as a matter of fact, last week I went to go visit her in California. And so she took me around but this machine, this vibration plate, you get on it for like 15, 20 minutes a day, and I even have one at work. So if the teachers want to come in there and use it, and sometimes teachers use it, but it helps, and it's a wonderful thing. I'm so glad that she told me about it. So have it in the bedroom, and I have some weights because they also said you need to use weights, for your muscles in your arms. So I love it. It was like $200. I think everybody need to get one from Amazon.
weights, like wrist weights or
No,
weight
yeah,
dumbbells.
like 5-pound weights.
Yep. Gotcha.
Yes.
For building up that strength.
I keep these beside me.
Yeah.
I love the hot pink dumbbell. It's
And
very
I
pretty.
have pink too.
I love that.
I found out about vibroplates because I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about the studies that
Mhm.
show that not only does it improve lymphatic, but it also your lymphatic system. It helps your lymphatic system stay healthy, but it also improves osteopenia. There are studies now that show that it helps improve. So a lot of times, some of us in the breast cancer world have to take endocrine medicine, which deprives us of estrogen and puts us at early risk of osteopenia and osteoporosis. And so they've studied vibroplates, and they've said that vibroplates actually help you keep from losing bone in the same way that lifting weights does. Now they're doing more research on it, but regardless, again, it's such a helpful tool, and I think that people are just now starting to understand it. Thank you
Mhm.
for bringing that up. I think that people can really, all of us in the breast cancer community certainly need to hear about these things, right?
That's right. I mean, my brother-in-law is a nutritionist. So, some of the things one of the things that me and him talked about, that doing blood work, the insurance don't cover a lot of the ones that he did. And so sent me the he gave me the website, and I ordered all of my stuff to do the blood work. And then I found a place here in Dallas where I took the box and they did the blood work. Um, when I got the results back, one of the things was my thyroid. And he was like, "Your thyroid, I want you to go to your doctor and let her prescribe you the thyroid medicine." But
Wow.
everything else he gave me, he put me on vitamin D, he put me on vitamin C, iron, these pills called turkey tails that help with breast cancer. Um, I take soursop drops that I put under my tongue. So it was a lot of stuff that even your insurance won't cover for blood work, where he went above and beyond. So I'm like, I take probably about 12 different vitamins a day,
Mm.
So
I think
we'll
that
see.
calling out the thyroid thing is also super important. Uh,
Mhm,
I don't know that a lot of breast cancer people who've been diagnosed with breast cancer realize, but our thyroid gets affected by treatments and also by potentially by radiation. And it's very important to keep an eye on that at all times because it can
mhm,
change at any
mhm.
point, and it's much more likely to change for those of us in treatment as well. Thank you again for
Yeah.
mentioning it.
Yeah, so mine must have changed. So, so now I have to go back next month and she's gonna recheck it. But I had to learn that you can only take the thyroid on an empty stomach. So my alarm is set like at 4 in the morning
Yes,
to take that before I can drink coffee or anything.
it's
So
hard. It's like 2 hours before you eat, right?
yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. And not even just empty, like empty for a while.
And it has to be the
Yes.
same time every day.
Yes.
So that's
Mhm.
yeah, it's hard and
Or
it's hard to remember. So you
yeah.
again, you're ahead of the curve there and setting an alarm and everything.
Yes.
Well, that's helpful to understand about some of the other things that you brought in to make stuff easier, the financial assistance and what we know some people face in that regard. What were some of the things that made it easier? And you've already started talking a little bit about that with regards to post treatment, the vibroplate, some of the supplements, the blood testing that showed your thyroid working, and it sounds like you had a great referral coming from your PCP and you had a doctor who took you seriously throughout your whole treatment. I know that you did both chemo and radiation. We know
Mhm.
the recliner made stuff easier in the chemo. Anything else that made it easier in the chemo or the radiation part?
Um, it wasn't easy. Once I finished my treatment, I'm a coffee drinker. And so that kind of took going through chemo, it took my whole taste away. Um, like I don't even eat Whataburger, but I crave Whataburger. No, Burger King. And I sat in a parking lot and I ate that burger. But as far as make everything making for me was being easy, me reading up on what to expect, um, and getting advice. My doctor is like, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me. Email me, call me. And so I had that support. I also had support from one of my parents, that had breast cancer. So she was able to tell me all the things that she went through. She was able to even look at some of my labs. I had another parent that was a nurse, and she could pull up my labs and say, yes, you're doing this, they got you on the right path. So to have other people, not just the doctors, but I had the other support of my parents that had my back and could tell me what to expect. You're doing this right. Continue to do what she's telling you to do. You have a really good doctor.
That's good. I really love that you did have that with that community. And hopefully, for anyone who doesn't, the fact that you're sharing your story is a little bit of that for them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I bet it helped you plan and feel more comfortable with your treatments as well.
Yes, it did.
In terms of, I'm still very impressed by the referral network that you had going straight from your PCP, and you found a doctor right away who listened to you, was empathetic, and took you seriously. What about the rest of your care team? Go ahead.
My chemo doctor was just as understanding as my doctor that did my surgery. Both of them, because my first one was, she's like, I'm gonna refer you to this doctor. And when I went to her, I mean, she was awesome. As a matter of fact, one of my quilting friends, her niece was discovered she had breast cancer, and she called me and asked me, could you give me her number? And she went last month, and she was like so relieved, so comfortable with who I referred her to. Because again, sometimes you can tell doctors how you feel, and they don't listen, but I was able to talk to my doctors with anything. Every Thursday, even now, I get a text, want to know, have you taken your anestazole? And if you feel sick, do you have a fever? And one time I did put on there I had a fever, and probably in 30 minutes they called me back. And
Wow.
so they're on top of things. So if I think I missed one time where they sent me the text and they called, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't text." But I still get that text every Thursday, to see how am I doing with going through this, even though I'm finished and still take my medicine, but they want to know.
That is amazing that they're doing follow-up with you. I feel
Hmm.
like oftentimes they're like, "Okay, see you later if you have
Yeah.
pain for more than 2 weeks." You know, that's amazing that you get a text and they check on you like that. I'm so
Yeah.
happy that you have that. Now we gotta
Yeah.
figure out how we can get that for everybody else, right?
That was like I was really surprised, to get that. And I was like, "Oh, when I did have a fever one time and I put on there, I didn't think that they were gonna call right back, but they called right back and said, "Okay, what's going on?" And they had made sure that I had antibiotics, everything I needed in case I did get sick. And they were like, "Okay, start the antibiotics." So it was really good.
That I'm thoroughly impressed by that, and I'm also impressed by because I know sometimes those texts can annoy people, and the fact that you're seeing you're I mean, it's very true to Carol and the character of Carol that I know. You're seeing that as such a positive thing because really it is them checking in and making sure you're okay.
Mhm.
And I think there's a big difference between a text that says, "How are you?" and a
Yes.
text that says, "Could you please rate your last experience?" Because if you get those it's true though. I mean, if you get those too often, you're just gonna stop looking at the texts, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I know
Exactly.
they need that information, but I do think that, there is a balance there, right?
Mhm.
So you just stop reading them if they're not checking on you because it's just an automated system, right? So
If I one time I did miss that Thursday. It was a Thursday I missed because they sent it, but if you click on it on Friday, it goes away. So when the following Thursday came, it had last Thursday and this Thursday, and they wanted to know how was I doing last Thursday, and I had to put that in.
Wow.
Yeah.
it's a great
Yeah.
system though. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like it really instead of focusing it on Charlotte, I guess to your point, how did we do? And the question being about us, it's flipped and it's focused about you. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Mhm.
That's good. Can we talk a little bit about specific symptoms and anything that potentially helped? Like I remember there was some itching during radiation. I know chemo, there's always nausea. Was there anything just kind of laying out the nitty gritty of those details for people to learn and understand? Anything for
Um, I had no symptoms for radiation, so I never had itching, none of that. So I can't even tell you. But as far as chemo, the only thing that I had was nausea. And my appetite had went completely away. So um I know some people lose weight I didn't. I kept saying, "Well, I got chemo. I should lose some weight." I didn't lose no weight. I was still fat and fluffy. So, but my biggest thing was I was, was just sick at my stomach. And so I had to find what, someone told me, the doctor told me, not to eat with a metal fork, use plastic.
Mhm.
And so I use plastic forks, plastic spoons, not to eat your favorite food because it will take it away. So I had to learn those things. I had a cereal that I would eat, or I would have soup, something that I wasn't used to eating in the first place. So anything that was my favorite, which is Italian and Mexican food, I stayed away from.
That's so smart. My doctor never told me that. Luckily, I didn't, because I lived off of mac and cheese. Because cheese, a cow, whatever dairy still tastes good for some reason. So, and I'm glad I don't have but I do have an aversion to. There was this body wash I was obsessed with. I thought it smelled like heaven, and now just the smell of it makes me nauseous because it reminds me
Mhm.
of that time.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Why the metal fork? I hadn't heard that before.
Really? Yeah, they said that the metal in your mouth,
Hmm.
it tastes, and I tried it. It
That's
does. It doesn't
yeah.
taste right when you're eating. So I always kept like plastic
Hmm.
silverware. So
And the same with like if you cover stuff in aluminum, don't do it
mhm.
because you can taste it.
Mhm.
Ugh. So, for the last part, for anyone kind of at this phase of their journey, trying to find the right doctor, find that broader care team, understand where to go with a care plan and what treatment is ahead with chemo and radiation, is there anything you wish you would have known looking back?
No, because mine went smoothly all the way around. I like I said, I can't say anything but great things because I didn't have, um I think that one time I did radiation, and I was waiting to see my doctor, and I had to wait, and he had to leave, and I sat there an hour. But other than that, that's the only thing that I can possibly say that went wrong, that I could look back and say, "Let me change." There's nothing.
I'm really glad that it went that smoothly.
Yes. How did
And
you deal with your tiredness since you couldn't have coffee?
yeah,
Girl, I don't know, but I had to survive. But you know what? Even though I would still try to make myself drink it, and it was not the same. So I was like, give it up, you gotta stop, And so soon as I finished my last chemo, I waited about a week, and I'm back on that journey of my coffee. But my sister always tell me now, she was like, you need to stop drinking coffee. There's a coffee called mushroom coffee. Um, that I got in there. I just haven't tried it yet, but it's supposed to be better than just regular coffee. The K cups, she don't believe in those. So I need to try the mushroom coffee just to see.
You have to report back and tell us because I'm curious about
Yes.
it too, but I'm scared to drink it.
I think I might try that. I'm gonna try it for you, Charlotte.
my cousin tried it and she said she started realizing she just felt so incredibly full after drinking it that she didn't even want her breakfast.
Really?
She was kind of surprised. But she was doing the mushroom coffee plus also a special creamer that they had with it. So that was probably part of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so along with that, I will try that. My sister also have me, I do acupuncture now. Yeah. And so I'm doing that. So she have me on all different kind of health things.
empathetic care teams, strong community, financial preparedness as much as possible, vibroplates, recliners. It sounds like those are some of the things that helped make it easier and that you're glad you learned about along the way.
Yes.
Well, any final words, any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
If you find out that have breast cancer or any type of cancer, you know, fall back on your family, um, or anyone that you're close to, and know that, you know, you'll be okay. And know that God got you. And again, I say that, God had me and he still do. And so I keep that positive mindset, and know that Imma be okay. I just turned 60 in January, and and so, I before before then, I didn't do a lot. I travel now, um, going on a cruise in November, going to Alaska next year, and so, I know that Imma be okay.
I love that.
Uh,
Believe in the positive and live your life. I love the exploring and seeing the world.
Yes.
I think that's a beautiful place to be whenever you're facing this. Try to focus on living your life and positive thinking.
Yeah. I, lost my best friend 4 months ago, after 34 years, and she and I worked together, and Caitlin knows her well too, but, I think she knew when I was going through chemo, I think she knew she was sick, and she didn't tell me, and she let me get through what I was going through, and she ended up getting sick with cancer, and she didn't tell me. So, I just, try to live every day.
I'm so sorry. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry that you lost your friend and that you lost your son. And I thank you so much for sharing those deeply personal parts of your life with us.
Yes.
And I want to say that I think you're an amazing and brave and courageous woman. And I'm so thankful that you were here right now with us, that you can tell us these things and help
Yes.
help make life easier for other people.
Yes. It's gonna be okay.
well, and Tammy's sitting there going, of course God's got you, and I'm right here watching.
Yes, yes. And I know it. I mean, it's like it just affected everybody at work and still, just the hard thing. But I know she's in a better place, and so and Imma be okay.
Sending you so
I'm giving
much
you the
love.
biggest
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you so much for sharing everything today. We really appreciate you being willing to open up and be vulnerable and share your story and experience for the sake of anyone who's coming behind you and hopefully making it easier for them.
Yeah.
Yes. And, one of the things that, people would a friend of mine that she kinda went through breast cancer, she was like, "Go to therapy." And for some reason, I never went to therapy, to go sit and talk and, but that is a good thing to join is a group that's going through what you're going through,
Mhm.
especially if you don't have the support with family or friends, that's how you would get through it.
Yeah.
Even some of my quilting friends, when they knew that I was going through it, they were all like, this is what you're going to go through. You know, we got you. They made me a beautiful breast cancer quilt, you know? So, again, I just had the support all the way around, family, my my job, you know, my parents, and my quilting friends. So, I was very, very blessed.
I'm so glad. But, you know, sometimes even if you don't have that support, you've just gotta go out there, you've gotta find it.
You gotta find it. You do,
It's so
you know?
important, and you do
Yeah,
need it.
yeah.
Well, thank you. Just thank you doesn't feel like enough of a word, but
Yes,
thank you.
it is.
Yeah.
Thank you for even, thinking of me to do this, you know? So,
I'm just
anytime.
honored that you joined us, and I'm honored I got to meet you. We'd like to give a big thank you to our guests, and we hope that you'll join us for the next episode. Context is everything, and healthcare and life. If you believe in what we're doing and want to support us, please remember to like, subscribe, and share our channel. Reach out if you want to be on our show, or you think we should cover another topic. What did you learn from the show today? We want to hear from you. Contact us at hcincontext@gmail.com. Leave a comment or look us up at dwellnesscommunities.com. One of the most common questions I get asked as a cancer survivor is, what should I send to my loved one who was recently diagnosed? So that's why I helped create a curated list of products at dwellnesscommunities.com in the Shop tab. It contains products that are tested and recommended by the people on our show, including me. We'll take a portion of proceeds and donate it to Undo Medical Debt. For every dollar donated, it will pay off $100 of debt. It also helps us continue to share these stories with you. We wish you wellness. And if you aren't feeling well, remember, there are people out there working hard to make you feel better. See you soon. Until then, take care of yourself and stay cozy.